Oh, hello YouTube. Today on the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my mid-January wrap-up. So far this January, I feel like I've read maybe a little less than usual, but not really. I've read 5 books. That's like allegedly the average, but like, I don't know. I've just been taking more breaks, I think. So yeah, I just feel like I haven't read as much as I normally read, but I read what I read. Let's get into it. Let's do my reviews. First category is fantasy, and I read 2 of them. I'm going to start off strong with A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the big finale of the Ember and the Ashes series, book 4. This book series has been coming out for like the past 5-6 years now, so my review will not make a lick of sense if you have not read this series. I'm sorry, but it's the big finale. Yeah, I can't like make it make sense. It is kind of loosely based around like the Roman Empire and their expansion, and they're conquering other peoples, and also there's jinn and ifrits and magic and like all kinds of stuff going on. So it has like a lot of magical elements. It has a lot of like military aspects to it, and we've been following these characters for so long, and finally this is the big conclusion, you know? And here's the thing about conclusions. They're really hard to stick, because I feel like no matter what you do, you're not gonna make everybody happy, because everyone has their own opinions about how things should turn out. I think overall, I am happy with the end. I gave it 5 stars. Like, I really enjoyed this. The writing is still chef's kiss amazing. Sabaa Tahir is an incredible author. I think the only thing that's like holding me back from like absolutely loving this, like maybe I gave this book 4.5 stars. Like, I took off a little bit. Just because like, you know, the big climactic battle in this book, the big finale, big war battle thing. And I don't know, it just all felt a little slapdash, honestly, because there are these characters getting killed off unnecessarily. Their deaths were just random. It's just like, oh shit, I have too many characters, let's kill a few, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, what? Stop kicking these characters while they're down. Why are you killing these people off? It was just like needless, pointless, like character deaths, and I wasn't sure why they were there. I mean, this is a very, you know, violent series, and characters have gotten killed off often in the past in this, but those deaths weren't slapdash. I felt like they had a bigger meaning. Like maybe they went out in a big heroic, you know, blaze of glory, or maybe they were killed to punish someone else, you know what I mean? So they're like, those deaths had like a meaning in the story and worked for character motivation. However, this is the big climactic battle. Like, there's only like 30 more pages after that, and then the book's over. Killing off the characters then aren't going to develop character growth, because we don't have enough pages to go into their character growth. So I don't know, I just felt very slapdash. That's the only thing holding me back from giving it like a full hearty 5 stars, but still, excellent writing, wonderful diverse cast. It's just great. It has lots of mythology and magic and all kinds of stuff, and I just love this series, so I do recommend reading it. The finale, overall, I'm very satisfied with. The next book I read was Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. This is my first Alice Hoffman book. The lady's written a lot of books, and I was like, okay, let's see what one is like. I mean, this is a prequel to a prequel, so I figured, okay, let's start at the beginning. Why not? I haven't read the sequels. And, you know, I gave it 4 stars in the end. I did enjoy this. It just took me a while to, I don't know, really get into the writing style. It's almost like there's an attention deficit, because it just keeps going off in all these like weird directions all of a sudden. You're just like, they're doing this, this, this. Oh, here's a recipe. And you're just like, wait, what? So the writing style is unique, I think, maybe to this author. And it took me a while to get into the flow of it. But once the book started getting going, like, I got really into these characters. It's kind of like if the Scarlet Letter was about actual witchcraft. We're following Maria. She is, I guess, the matriarch of the Owens family, which is the, you know, family from the other books of this series, and where the curse began, because, you know, this is, you know, the other books that came out before this one, but are sequels to this one. They're just coming out in reverse order. You know, Practical Magic was the first book. And that's also a rom-com from the 90s. The story is around, so there's like this curse in the family. This is kind of the origins of said curse. And we are in the Puritan era, you know, like late 1600s, early 1700s, Boston and Salem, Massachusetts. Ain't nothing good happening there. And Maria's like totally a witch. So, uh-oh, bad things are afoot. It's hard to like get into all of this because I feel like if I say things that happen in this book, it's probably spoilers for the other books, but I haven't read those. It's confusing, the order of this. Like, I can't even like describe it correctly, but I don't know. I like that a lot of the aspects of the story, like I felt like their magic had a cost and consequences. It felt like it was also kind of rooted in reality. There's a lot of, you know, like herbalism in here and like being a healer and like using what herbs to cure what illnesses. I mean, they also have a dash of witchcraft in it, but you know, the herbs are there for real. So it has like, I don't know, it has a basis in reality, but like a hyper reality. So I think, yeah, the only thing that was throwing me was the writing style, but as soon as I got into it, I got really, really into these characters, and I really, really liked them. So yeah, I don't know. If you like The Scarlet Letter, but you also want it to be more entertaining and have actual witchcraft, there's your book. I had a good time with it, honestly. I think I'm going to read the other books of the series, because as soon as I got the writing style, like I did enjoy this quite a bit. 4 stars. Next category is sci-fi, and I read one of them. I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This has been on my radar for quite some time. A friend gifted me the book and I was like, you know what? New year, new me. Let's go. I'm gonna read this. And, okay. No, don't get me wrong. This isn't a bad book by any means. I gave it 3 stars. I'll explain. Let's do the pros and then the cons. So the pros here is that this book, like, Becky Chambers wrote the shit out of this book. Like, the world building is astronomical. That's not really a pun. I know it's a space book, but whatever. The world building is very expansive and very in-depth. And every bit of technology and all of, like, the different alien races all have, like, very rich tapestries to draw from. So, like, I think Becky Chambers wrote the shit out of this book. It's well written. No one can question that. I think it's very, very good. We're following a crew of misfits, the crew of the Wayfarer, and they're like basically space miners, because I guess you have to drill holes in space. I'm not really sure why. They spent so much time explaining why in this book, but it was so long and technical that like my brain just couldn't process the words. I was just like, okay, these are words, and I moved on. But like, there's reasons why they have to do this. And of course, it's like a misfit crew, so you have like very zany personalities, very different like species, and they all get along together in this like family unit, you know what I mean? And also, that's a pro. Like, I do like the relationships with these characters. I like the crew of misfits all like coming together at the end. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Now, the cons list of this book isn't super long, but it's a big con, okay? The main issue I have with the book is that there is no plot. There's no plot. Like, if someone says, hey, what's this about? And I'm like, it's about a crew of misfits. And you're like, yeah, but what did they do? I'm like, nothing. They did nothing. The whole book. Like, don't get me wrong, like, things happen. They're not just sitting and staring at the walls for like 400 pages. Like, they're not doing that. Like, things happen, and there's many events along the way, but no plot line. It's just lots of stuff that happens. It's just like watching people live their lives, and they were doing this at this time and that at that other time, and there wasn't like a goal to go towards. Like, they're space miners. They're going to, you know, the titular small angry planet. They're gonna make a space hole. Going to the planet is like a big deal contract. So that's like the idea there. And then there's, you know, there's like setbacks along the way, but it just doesn't have like an overall arc. Lots of things happen, it has a plot, you know why they're going where they're going, but there's no arc here. It's just stuff that happens and then stuff stops happening and the book's over. So, like, it's really good, but like, there's no plot. Like, it's just stuff that happens, which technically is a plot, but there's no arc, so it's just like, you're just reading a bunch of stuff that happened, but with no, like, point. So, I know this is a series, so maybe there's a point coming later on in books, but this one needed a point in book 1 to, like, something to resolve and then go on into book 2. But, like, yeah, there's no, like, arc here. We're, like, I don't know. I mean, the characters are cool, though. I do like soft characters. These are all soft indoor kids. Well, like, they can fight if they need to, but, like, you know, they're all very soft people. They're very nice, and they live in space, and they're all a bunch of misfits, and they're a family. And it just is what it is. And the world building is great, and the species are all very detailed. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it, but it just didn't have a story arc, and I couldn't rate it higher than 3 stars because I'm like, there's no plot. The last category is romance, and I read 2 of them. I read Xeni by Rebekah Weatherspoon, and overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a cute romance. I think this is a through line with a lot of Rebekah Weatherspoon books, that her characters are grown adults, that when they have a problem, they just talk about it and then they move on with their lives instead of letting things fester and then keeping secrets and then you break up in a dramatic fashion like all rom-coms. She's just like, nah, I'm not fucking with that. And she just has her characters be adults and talk to each other, which is like very refreshing, honestly. This has a lot of really cool stuff going for it. We're following Xeni, our titular Xeni. She is a young woman. She goes to like upstate New York to clean out her aunt's, like her late aunt's house. And, you know, she inherited some stuff. And part of the inheritance is this guy named Mason. He is a big-ass Scotsman, like a huge cuddly teddy bear of a man named Mason. And part of the caveat of this, you know, the will is that they have to be married to each other for at least 30 days to collect the inheritance, which I know in real life completely illegal. You can't do that, but like it works for fiction, so we're going with it. And then Xeni and Mason are both grown-ass adults, and they're just like, well, I mean, you're cool, like, let's do it. And they're like, okay. And so they get married, and then like sexy times are afoot, let me tell you. Again, let's go back to the point with them being grown-ass adults who talk about stuff. They're both grown-ass adults. They both have a sexual attraction to each other. They're just like, hey, like, do you want to get on this? And then, like, they do. Okay, I've been, like, hinting around this, but let's just talk about the smut for, like, a hot second. So, this book isn't, like, overly smutty, but, like, the smut that's in it, it's not for the faint of heart. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't like deviant sexual behavior or something like, I don't know. This is nothing that's out of the realm of possibilities. I just don't think the vast majority of people do the things they do on the regular. I don't want this like getting flagged on YouTube, so I'm not saying what happens in here, but it's not vanilla. They get into there's some shenanigans. You know, go into it with an open mind and a grain of salt, that the smut will get a bit spicy. And I don't know, I was into it. I had never seen some of the things they did in a romance before. And I was like, oh, that's new. Last note about this book, it's very funny. I put some tabs in it because those are 3 times in this book I literally laughed out loud. It's very, very funny. I loved it. 4 stars. It wasn't amazing. Like, it's not gonna, like, change my life. It wasn't an amazing book, but it's definitely very good. Above average. I enjoyed it. 4 stars. I also read Teddy Spenser Isn't Looking for Love by Kim Fielding. This was a quick read. I read it all in one day. I think in the end I gave it like 3 stars. It's average. The best way to describe the book. It's not great by any means. But it wasn't terrible where like I wanted to like hate myself for reading it. It was like, it was all right. It was fine. So we're following Teddy Spenser. He is not looking for love. He's very fashionable. He has this thing with fashion. He loves fashion and like design. And then you have his love interest, Romeo Blue, which is like the best romance name ever. And he's very straight-laced businessman. And of course they get put on a project together and they have to travel together. And there's only one bed, gasp. It's very tropey. And I like that it's almost self-aware of the fact that it's a tropey rom-com. I think these characters are definitely living in that hyper-reality space. When I say hyper-reality, I mean that the plot is stupid. It's like I said, they got put in this project together, so they have to travel across the country and meet like this fashion icon lady who's going to invest in their company. And they have to like do all these like weird tests she gives them, like an escape room and a hiking trip and like cooking dinner. All of these weird like tests she makes them do, which is just absurd, frankly. It's like, this would never happen. What is going on? And of course they fall in love along the way. And they like super fall in love. It's like that hyper reality space where they're just like, oh my gosh, we've only been together for a week, but we're getting married and making 1 million babies. I mean, they're both men, so I don't know if they're gonna make babies, but just like everything in this book is so heightened that it's like fantasy almost. But like in kind of a fun way. It's just like if you get into like the tropey delightfulness of it, it's a cute book. Is it fantastic? No, because it's like so hyper reality that it makes no sense. I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. I read it all in one day. It's a quick ass read, but like, I don't know, 3 stars. It's okay. It's not fantastic, but like, it's fun for a tropey romp. Okay, so that does it. That is all I've read so far in January. Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know, have you been reading more or less than usual? Because I feel like I'm reading less, I'm taking more breaks. Is it just me? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, of course, what were your opinions on these books? Did you like them or dislike them? Of course, comments down below. I like to know what you think. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I will see you guys soon. Bye!